All right, so today we're gonna dive into the 1968 Fiat Abarth 595 Esseesse
A tiny Italian car.
with a huge E personality.
Yeah, a little pocket rocket.
So we've got a ton of articles and some sales listings that you guys sent in. So
Yeah, let's see what we can.
let's see what we can find out about this little legend.
You know what's interesting is even way back then, you could buy Abarth parts
Oh yeah,
and modify your own Fiat.
right.
So how do we even know what's genuine?
That's a great question.
Like, is it all original parts, or is it more about just capturing that Abarth spirit?
Yeah, what makes an Abarth an Abarth?
Exactly.
That's something to keep in mind as we go through this stuff.
Absolutely.
One of the articles I'm looking at has a car pictured and it has disc brakes and different wheels.
Oh, yeah, definitely some modifications.
So maybe it is more about the philosophy.
I think so.
You know, taking something ordinary and making it extraordinary.
Yeah, like hot rodding, but with Italian flair.
Right, and I think that's what Abarth was all about, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Mm.
They were obsessed with racing and really pushing those little Fiats to the limit.
Squeezing every ounce of performance out of them.
Exactly. They'd bore out the cylinders, increase compression,
Wow.
even swap in hot camshafts. It was serious business.
And then the suspension, too.
Oh, yeah, complete overhaul.
Stiffer springs, upgraded dampers.
All those little side skirts and spoilers.
Those weren't just for looks, were they?
Not at all. They actually helped with downforce.
Form and function.
Italian style, baby.
Okay, so let's talk about what's under the hood.
The heart of the beast.
We've got this tuned engine putting out, what, like 70 horsepower?
Around there, yeah.
Now, I know that might not sound like a lot today,
Right.
but we've got to think about it in context.
1968, 70 horsepower was pretty respectable.
Right.
I mean, even a Porsche 911 only had like 130 horsepower back then.
And we're talking about a car that's probably, what, a third of the weight?
Oh, yeah. This thing was incredibly light.
I'm looking at a sales listing here, and it says the mileage is just 207 miles.
Wow. Barely broken in.
Yeah, it's crazy.
A true time capsule.
So it was all about nimble handling and that fun, connected driving experience.
Exactly. They didn't just focus on power.
Right.
They really meticulously improved the suspension,
To make sure it could handle those corners.
especially those winding Italian roads.
It's like the modern-day Fiat 500 Abarth in a way.
Yeah, there's a through line there for sure.
That same spirit of playful performance.
Totally.
But let's not forget about the looks.
Oh, yeah, the looks are iconic.
It had that aggressive body kit, the lowered bumpers.
Just side skirts.
Sometimes even a rear spoiler.
Like I said, Italian style.
I can picture it now zipping through some narrow Italian village.
Oh, yeah. You can practically hear the exhaust note.
It's not hard to see why these are so sought after today.
Not at all. They're little pieces of automotive history.
But I do have a question.
Suit.
With all those modifications, wasn't it a bit harsh for everyday driving?
It's a good question.
How did they balance that performance focus with practicality?
Well, let's dig into that. Let's see what the articles say about that delicate balance. It's a delicate balance. You know? You don't want it to be a track day special.
Right, got to be able to drive it to the market too.
Exactly. But you don't want to lose that Abarth edge either.
So how'd they do it?
One of the articles actually goes into the suspension.
Oh.
It wasn't just about making it stiffer. They actually reworked the geometry.
Ah, I see.
And those tiny 12-inch wheels helped lower the center of gravity for better stability.
Makes sense. So they really thought about how it would handle those tight corners.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But let's not forget about the engine.
The heart of the beast.
Exactly. We
Right.
keep talking about 70 horsepower.
Right?
But what did they actually do to that little Fiat engine?
Yeah, spill the beans.
Okay, so they usually started with the Fiat 600's engine.
Air-cooled two-cylinder, right?
Okay. From there, it was all about maximizing what they could get out of it.
So boring out the cylinder.
Oh, yeah, increasing compression,
Wow.
fitting a high-performance camshaft.
Like hot rodding a lawnmower engine.
Kind of, but they were masters at it.
And what about the fuel system?
Often they used dual carburetors.
Seriously?
Sometimes even Weber units. Those were legendary back then.
I bet that sounded amazing.
Oh, yeah, a mechanical symphony.
One of the articles mentions a special Solex carburetor setup for the S.
Right, the Solex C32 PHH.
What was so special about that one?
Well, it was a side draft carb known for its responsiveness.
Okay.
And it could deliver a good mix of power and fuel economy.
Important for a little car.
Exactly.
Huh.
Plus, it just sounded awesome.
So we've got the engine, the suspension, but what was it actually like to drive?
Well, luckily, one of the articles has a first-hand account.
Oh, nice.
Someone who got to experience an Esseesse on those Italian roads.
That's what I want to hear.
And it sounds like a pure, visceral driving experience.
Visceral, I like that. Paint me a picture.
Okay, so the author describes the car as feeling incredibly light and agile,
Okay.
almost like a go-kart.
Wow.
The steering was direct and responsive, and that little engine just loved to be revved. Oh, yeah. But it wasn't a pushover.
Yeah.
You had to be fully engaged.
Oh, really?
Yeah, using all your senses to feel the road and anticipate the next corner.
So it wasn't just point and shoot.
Not at all. It demanded skill and attention.
Interesting.
But in the right hands, it was a joy to drive.
That's cool.
It was a car that made you feel connected to the machine and the road in a way that's rare today.
I think that's what makes the S so special.
I agree.
It represents a time when driving was more about the experience,
The connection with the machine?
less about technology and brute force.
Absolutely. And speaking of technology, there's an article that compares driving the Esseesse to driving a modern car.
Oh, yeah, the one that says modern cars can feel sterile.
That's the one. The author argues that with all the electronic aids,
Lanes assist, all that stuff.
exactly, it can take away from the driving experience.
Whereas with a car like the Esseesse,
You're constantly engaged working with the machine to get the most out of it.
like a dance between the driver and the car.
I like that analogy.
You have to really work together to make it move.
And I think that's what a lot of classic car enthusiasts crave.
Yeah.
That sense of connection and control.
It's missing from a lot of modern cars.
But let's get back to the S's personality.
Okay.
Was it just about performance, or did it offer something more?
I mean, come on. This car had style for days.
Yeah.
Bright orange paint,
Racing stripes.
those fat little tiles tucked under the fenders.
It just oozes personality.
That's in it.
Totally. It's that classic Italian design.
Form and function.
Even a small car can make a big statement.
And they knew it back then.
Oh, yeah, they did.
You know, we were talking about what makes a genuine Abarth,
Right?
and we saw that modified one.
The one with disc brakes.
Yeah, and the different wheel.
Someone blending the classic with the contemporary.
I gotta say, it looked pretty good.
It did.
But I can see how some purists might not like it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Where's the line between restoration and modification?
That's a tough one.
Is it sacrilege to mess with the original?
I think it comes down to intent.
Okay.
Are you trying to recreate the original experience? Or are you trying to create something new?
Using modern tech, but still honoring the original.
Exactly.
So there's no easy answer.
It depends.
It's about what you value.
It's personal.
That's what makes this whole discussion so interesting.
I agree.
It's not just about cars.
It's about passion.
And history.
How we connect with these machines.
It's funny, I keep thinking about that article.
Which one?
The one that compared driving the S to driving a modern car.
Oh, yeah.
That pure, unfiltered experience.
It's almost like a form of mindfulness.
You're so present in the moment,
Feeling every input.
reacting to the road.
No distractions.
And in today's world,
With all the distractions we have.
that kind of focus is valuable.
Incredibly valuable.
I think that's why we love these classic cars.
They represent a simpler time,
When driving was about the journey,
not the destination.
they remind us that you don't need 1,000 horsepower.
To have a great time behind the wheel.
Sometimes less is more.
You know, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a thought.
Okay.
If you could own a 1968 Fiat Abarth 595 Esseesse,
Ooh, yeah.
would you keep it original or would you modify it?
That's a tough one.
It is, isn't it?
I think I'd want to find a balance.
Yeah.
Keep the essence of the car,
Right.
but maybe make a few subtle upgrades.
To enhance the experience.
Oh, hey, that's just me.
It's a personal choice.
What about you?
What makes an Abarth genuine to you?
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the 1968 Fiat Abarth 595 Esseesse.
It's been a blast.
Until next time, keep the passion for driving alive.